All right. Well, it seems that Sam Seder, and you would think that I would know this or even remember that it happened, but I must have missed the show that day. He jumped onto the Hasan and Ethan situation and gave his opinion on it on Majority Report, which, again, I must have completely missed that, which that is beyond unfortunate for me because that's premium content for me. I definitely would have, put out a video or something about that, Yes, Hasan is one of the larger streamers in this space, so he definitely gets some traction, but I actually enjoy covering the Majority Report a little bit more. Sam Seder is what I would like to consider one of the last professional broadcasters, not just on YouTube, but what I really appreciate about his show is how he breaks it down like a classic radio show. He has his segments. His call-in portion is, spectacular when it comes to that. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Like, it is, AM radio classic, and I really appreciate that. Especially because I grew up with my dad didn't listen to like political radio, but lots of talk radio. Steve Dahl. I'm not sure if you guys know who he is. That was my dad's favorite. He loved Steve Dahl. But so with Sam Seder covering Hasan, I'm going into this completely fresh. I don't know what his take is on this, so it's gonna be really interesting to see. So let's check it.
28 mark. Kaya, no growling. What drama?
Yeah, I'm not
I feel
the
that,
biggest Buttigieg fan, but he was the mayor of South Bend, Indiana. The book. Yeah, exactly. Call him.
So I've sorry, I'm like really nervous. I'm calling because I've seen like a lot of really crazy mudslinging towards one of my favorite content creators, whom I know you have a good relationship as well with, Hasan Piker, and I'm not sure.
Damn, he's going straight to Unc, dude. He's going straight to Unc. That's Unc. That's my uncle. Everybody calm down.
And keeping up with it because it's sort of like
weird how he says that because Cenk is actually his uncle.
Political commentators and I myself, I'm a Jewish person. I went on Birthright when I was 19 and I was radicalized by Birthright Unplugged. So I was able to see what was going on in the occupied West Bank at the time, and it was particularly upsetting to me. So I guess.
Well, I actually have a friend that went on Birthright, and he came back the opposite, where he came back almost like militant.
The reason I'm calling is because I'm just curious if you are aware of what's going on. Because for me, it's just so personally upsetting to see this happen to someone that I feel like has been so staunchly in the right place with this issue, being brutally attacked by people whom I viewed as being like figureheads of like a progressive movement. People like Ethan Klein, other YouTubers as well.
Yeah, I mean, I have not followed this closely. I've seen and I'm on Twitter less and less these days, but I've definitely seen.
Sorry, he was doing a chair
Twitter,
stream for that portion.
And I don't know if it was like last week or when Hasan, had texted me that he found this whole thing upsetting. All I can tell you is right now, it seems like we have entered a stage where strong supporters of Israel, ones who I would say have been, really intensely in denial as to what Israel is doing and what it's become. And put aside, the question of for the moment, for the sake of this argument or this situation, the founding of Israel as being highly problematic. Just take this past year in isolation. If there had been no history whatsoever, if this was completely outside of a context, there's just simply no way. And I think the context actually does not make it any more favorable for Israel. I think quite the opposite. But let's just assume for a moment that this only happened on October 7th. That Hamas came over, they broke through, they killed somewhere between 600 and 800 civilians, and then anywhere between 300 or 400 military personnel, which is the case. The idea that this is a proportionate response, the killing of, at a minimum, I mean, I don't think there's...
Hasan has become an L. The thing I don't understand about that kind of sentiment is that, like, if you consider me to be an L now, then I didn't become that. Like, I've always been this L. Because the one thing is, it's me, I'm the one who called. Yes, I'm the chatter. Yeah. Oh. The thing is, like, I'm pretty consistent, especially on stuff like this, right? So
he is. I'll give him that.
I think that it's not necessarily that I have become an L. I think maybe your opinion changed on the matter. And that deserves some, I think, self-reflection. And I'm always going to be open-minded. I'm always going to be open-minded to people who change their minds. Maybe you changed your mind in the opposite direction, but I will still hold out hope that you will one day be charitable again to the things that I'm saying, But I haven't really changed my framework, my perception, my attitude on the way that Israel operates. The only thing
that's
that I've turned
really
into
weird
an L
way
on
to
is
look at Hasan's
the
view
size
on
of the
that.
t-shirts that I wear. I used to wear XXL, and now I wear larges. So I guess on that front, you are right.
There's any sort of
hey, welcome to the stream, guys.
Reasonable individual that thinks it's less than 40,000 plus people, and that we know that almost 2/3 of this is women and children. We know that there have been thousands of kids underneath the age of like 2 who have been killed. I don't think there's anybody. Even without the context, this just looks like war crime after war crime.
May I ask a question, Sam?
Yeah.
So getting to that point, like, I think what's particularly upsetting about this, like, obviously the entire situation.
I am our Bullprog called in and talk about their criticisms of you. Okay.
Is incredibly upsetting, and it's one of the most horrendous things that I hope I'll ever have to witness in my life. But I think what's particularly upsetting, like I mentioned before, is seeing people whom I previously thought were fairly progressive become like radicalized against this issue, and
listen,
up people that are so much worse with their bad faith arguments, and I wonder if you think it's more.
It's weird how he's like calling out Ethan without saying Ethan.
Without that, just hits home for them in a weird way, where they're able to suspend their disbelief.
That was the point that I was trying to make. It's like, I feel like we have hit a stage of this now where it is so horrific, it is so obvious that even without
you can't even acknowledge it.
Even without context, that to remain in denial, you need to go further, right? Like, you can't hunker down. You need to go on the offense. I will tell you this: I had a guy, family friend of my father's age, who called him this week and asked if I was an anti-Semite.
Yeah. So this is that's ironically enough, the reason why I wanted Sam to talk to Ethan as well, because this is like getting too into, in a very public fashion, but getting too into like inter-community conversations. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know how sometimes we open the door? You know how sometimes we open a door and peek into black people's business? This is Jewish people's business to a certain degree. Like, the way that...
Yeah, but that's why Sam is the perfect one to handle this.
American Jews analyze Israel and the opinions that they have. Like, this is a inside baseball conversation almost. Like, I understand why that chatter is frustrated, because he's like recognizing the cognitive dissonance demonstrated by people who he recognizes were progressive, who have gone through a genuine attitude change, right? And yet that attitude change has like limits in terms of the analysis. I think that it's just slightly parasocial. I don't think so, because like I have two different camps here, right? I have like hardline anti-Zionist Jewish friends who are very close friends of mine, as you guys know, who I love and have so much respect for, who have already had these opinions very publicly for a very long time. And then there are a lot of young Jewish Hasanabi heads that I talk to who have basically gone through this journey into anti-Zionism, and the communal attitudes that are reflected back at them, like the push and pull basically of your own personal convictions on this matter versus the way that your immediate family members treat you, and your sense of community basically being robbed from you because of your difference in opinion on this matter.
Yeah.
Because of how many of these communities are built around the concept of like defending Israel.
Yeah, but I've also seen this in just like other religious family situations where the like less radical, like the more radicalized the family, and then the less radicalized the like kid gets. I've seen a lot of pushback from that. Like I've seen it in my own situation a little bit.
I think that's a real issue. Sense of community, Lamau. No, I mean, it's true. What do you mean? You can't say that like sense of community, Lamau. There are plenty of anti-Zionist Jews who literally are just like, dude, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, you know, you have Hillel on campus, you have all these like Jewish groups on campus, and they straight up are like, oh, are you fucking anti-Israel? Fuck you. You're a token. Get out of here. Like, you get excommunicated like a fucking Mormon. To be clear, I've been pro-Palestinian since I did Birthright Unplugged at 19. I'm 33 now, but it's upsetting because I saw firsthand the propaganda. Yeah. No, I'm talking specifically about like when I go to the encampments and stuff and I talk to the students there. One of the most common things I heard from Jewish students at the encampment was like, you know, you have no, like, you basically don't have the same like community resources all of a sudden, because like it's just, they take that shit away from you. You're like not a part of it. You know, you have to be pro-Israel. And I feel like that's a frustrating situation, and I haven't been able to find it like a good solution to that at all when people ask me that question. You know, like, I do understand how that would be. I can understand how that would feel. That sense of isolation is going to be something that is damaging to your psyche for sure. Like, I get that. I don't know. This is 100% going to be clip chimped. Wait, what? Well, I didn't say anything. I did not say anything even remotely inappropriate.
No,
here.
he's
I'm
being
talking
very
about
fair.
my own personal experiences talking to anti-Zionist Jews that are Hasan heads at college encampments. Like, if they fucking, you know, if people clip this out of context to say that this is anti-Semitic, then so be it. Like, I've been getting called
then you're not going to win that battle
every goddamn day. I've been getting called an Islamist fundamentalist terrorist every fucking day. I think the best phrase to describe the thing that myself and a lot of other fellow Jewish Hasanabi heads is internalized shame. And it's something that I struggle with every day. I literally feel ostracized with my Jewish friends every day because of my beliefs. I think the best phrase to describe it is internalized shame. Like, I don't think you should feel shame. I think that is...
Yeah, but that's uncontrollable. You're just, like, if you're a big part of those communities, that's just going to happen.
Conditioning, right?
Hey,
I think that as a Jewish person, you should never feel shame about the actions of Israel.
Guaranteed benefits to people. Yep.
Never, ever feel shame about the actions of Israel. Because
no, if anything, it's like people get mad at you for standing up for what's right, and then they just double down on their shitty behaviors.
It has nothing to do with you. You know? It has nothing to do with you whatsoever. I understand where it comes from. I think it literally comes from like all of the social conditioning from you know, early adolescent stages in your life, and how like that sense of community and almost like a higher national religious understanding in the form of like Zionist ideology has substituted maybe some of the practices that you could normally feel that you normally would feel is a part of your culture. But I don't feel shame. I just feel dismayed that people who raised me aren't living by their own teachings. Is very upsetting. Yeah. You should never ever in a million years feel shame. If you're an American Jew, you should never, ever feel shame towards the actions of Israel. I will never allow it.
No.
Zionism was woven into Jewish communities for a very young age. It was taught to me at Hebrew school and amongst the word of mouth.
Their actions are what you need to attack.
But once again, this is...
Attacking them for just being Jewish, that's wrong.
This is why I always talk about this issue. Like, I don't think a lot of people understand. When I separate Zionism and Israel from Judaism across the board, I'm doing this because I see what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm doing this one because it's the truth. Zionism is totally separate from Judaism. It does not matter if your local rabbi says that it isn't. Okay. It doesn't matter. You can voluntarily adopt this ideology because you think that this will, time will pass, and you can use this as a deflection to be like, oh, well, every Jewish person is ideologically and religiously tied to Israel. It doesn't matter. This is what's taught in Hebrew school or whatever, but like, and it's a part of my Jewish identity. It still doesn't matter because you are not recognizing that you are teaching people something that is wrong. And not only is it wrong, but it's also causing people to associate Israel's actions with Judaism when it is so far removed from Judaism, almost antithetical to the values that at least I have learned about Judaism.
Absolutely. Like, that's
Jewish
the weird
culture
part. Like, when they get militant, it's so weird because in like Hasidic Judaism, it's very, it's almost like a pacifism kind of angle. Like,
that may be a point of contention, though. Do you have the right to make that distinction as a non-Jewish person? Yeah, I understand that.
Well,
I understand when people go, people try to do like, well, it's, my own ideology, my own choice, that type of thing. It's not because of Israel. It's because I'm shamed by my community for not being pro-Israel. I know this is a long shot, but I would also be more than welcome to guest star one day to talk about my upbringing and the constant struggle of being someone who is Jewish and anti-Israel. I know you've talked about this a billion times, but I still be open sometime if you want. I'm pretty sure Megaphonics will also be more than glad to do so as well. Yeah. I hate how insane everyone has become.
Yeah, Rise, love that neighbor.
It's impossible to talk to family I used to be friends with on
Is it Rise or Riz?
holidays. I've seen too many dead babies. I literally burst out at any of my family when they bring up Israel. Like, I want my grandparents on Haifa dead. It's my fault for seeing Palestinians as humans. Yeah. But like, I'm like, Sam himself has is personally talking about his own experiences. Like, people think.
Shout out Duke of Bread. What's up, dude?
People in his own community, in his own immediate circle of friends, is like looking at him and assuming that he is like anti-Semitic for his opinion on Israel. And it's a very
awesome. That's what I thought.
Very weird situation because, like, when people say white people
it's Rise
are under attack in America or Christianity is under attack in America, we all understand that that's fucking bullshit, right? That is the oppressive group trying to do a reverse racism narrative. But with anti-Semitism, there is real anti-Semitism. There is actually a sense of marginalization that is valid. There is actually a genuine impact of anti-Semitism that is a canary for fascist ideology. So when that gets diluted with anti-Zionism in a very nefarious cycle that tries to associate all of the actions of Israel with Judaism, you are literally, without recognizing, telling people something that is objectively false, okay? Just like Saudi Arabia and its actions have nothing to do with Islam.
I'm sorry, but you can also apply this to Christianity and Zionist Christians. Like, there is a lot like of that, especially in America.
Okay? Or the rest of the Muslim world. Israel's actions have nothing to do with Judaism or, how American Jews or Jews wherever they live in the world and their day-to-day experiences. It has nothing to do with that. It is a state, right? It is a state built around an ethno and religious supremacist ideology that is built on top of an area where there are millions of indigenous people and tens of millions that have been displaced already. Like, it has nothing. It has nothing to do with Judaism across the board, no matter how hard people have.
No, and honestly, that's why in this community, excuse me, I do try to fight against that kind of, it's almost like xenophobia, like against, Jewish people, where they're just like, well, they're all Zionists. It's like, no. We can't do that, guys.
And it always feels like I'm going crazy when people associate it when they are either Jewish themselves or pro-Jewish, right? It's like hearing straight up a Muslim.
I'm anti-religion, but I'm pro just letting people do what they want to do.
Guy,
as long as it doesn't hurt people.
In the Western world, be like, claiming that like ISIS is actually good for Islam.
Speaking for myself.
And that ISIS actually is the true idea of Islam. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you saying? That's what it feels like. And I can't. You've made a turn, man. Not a good path. Once again, I have not.
Wow, they weren't talking about Ethan. They were talking about Hasan when they were talking to Sam.
Especially on this issue, I have not. You either weren't paying attention in the past or your opinion most likely changed. Unless you can identify what the turn is, unless you can identify in your mind what the turn is, we can't have this, we can't have like a normal conversation. It's just your vibes.
I honestly, yeah, exactly. Because they haven't really said anything as far as like actual substance or just like an actual quote from Hasan. They just are literally saying, I just feel like you kind of shifted on this.
In a Twitch chat, it's more nuanced than that. What? It just,
oh, come
you
on.
can give some
it's hard to read chat with nuance.
I suspect, right? Here's another story from Nandre. A little anecdotal, though. When I lived in Israel, many of the younger Israelis despise Zionism because they live inside it and saw the garbage effects it has on life. It's why it's such a frustrating dialogue over there. The West is so far removed from it and pushes it so hard. Yeah, that definitely is the other aspect of it, too.
Do we ever hear about Israeli liberals?
I'm giving you the opportunity to speak up. So what Nandre said, it makes all the worse that Hebrew school teaches us about such a politically fraught and deep topic like Zionism at such a young age, and now tell us it's the Palestinians who indoctrinate their children who hate us, as though hating Palestinians isn't the obvious lesson of Zionist youth lessons. I cannot even reconcile that obvious cognitive dissonance with people who still believe that, even in old age. Yeah. It's just, you can point to videos that I have on this topic, ironically enough, with the same exact people that I'm still talking to on the same exact subject matter from like 8 years ago. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's what's so funny about people being like, wow, you've changed.
That's so weird. Like, again, when he's being fair too, like that's why they're saying, oh, you changed in your stance. It's like, no, he's just being very fair about
paying attention to what I was saying for the past almost
or they're projecting
decade, or your perspective on the matter changed, and now you analyze what I'm saying with a very different lens.
No, they're projecting on you.
That's the weird. That's what I would say. You were literally asking me for talking points, and I refuse. What? Okay, so what do you want? You just wanted to chirp?
Yeah,
that's what it was.
Wait, chirp has entered the lexicon of like Twitch speak. That's a hockey term, guys.
You just wanted the whine? Is that what it was? I would hope anyone would change in 10 years. I mean, if society is unchanging, on a lot of these issues, like, why would you expect me to change, my mindset to change? That doesn't make any point. That doesn't make any sense. Yes, I've been consistently now for more than a decade been, and even beyond that, but very publicly, more than a decade been pro-immigration, right? Pro-reform, rehabilitation over incarceration when it comes to the criminal justice system. I have, and none of those structural problems.
Just so you know, that's like been one of my issues.
Have gone away.
I've always advocated for getting rid of the death penalty, prison reform. We really need to just like criminal justice like system overhaul. War on drugs.
I have been very critical of policing as an institution in this country. That has not changed.
Very consistent about that one too.
So, like, and with respect to Israel, it's not like Israel 10 years ago was different. It was still an apartheid, and it still is. Like, my core values and the way that I understand the world have not shifted dramatically. For most people, not just you. These people just started paying attention, not you. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
And it's like, wait a second. First off, I'm not saying anything now that I haven't been saying for a year. And I've been critical increasingly over the years, to be fair. But starting in 2004, when we did this show on AM Talk Radio, we had the Israeli embassy contact our show, after our first segment about Israel, which was in, I don't know, second month of doing the show, because they wanted to refute our points. I mean, we were critical of Israel. I think I
just denounced terrorists. I do. Your voice speaks loud. Do with that what you will. I denounce terrorists every day. I denounce the terror state of Israel every day. I denounce America's actions that are state-sponsored terror every day. Every day. Yeah, I do.
I've become more critical as I've learned more about,
people are still people, right?
Yeah.
Like they're still human beings. Whatever kind of fucking sticker you associate with them does not change that dynamic. People understandably have a desire to live free. Okay. That is a normal human desire to have. Okay. If you understand that the standard of violence is set by the larger, more powerful party, which in this case would be the settler colonial country with nuclear arms that are getting endless amounts of funds and weapons from the largest superpower on the planet historically, then you have to recognize that the overarching harm, the larger harm, is always still coming from Israel. Israel is setting the standard of violence. The Nat Turner rebellion, albeit incredibly violent, which included white people being slaughtered in their bedrooms, you know what I mean, did not change the morality of chattel slavery. It didn't. Just like the ANC's actions did not change the morality of the South African apartheid. When the dust settles, you will not look back at these situations, at these acts of violence, resisting against, no matter how abhorrent they may be. Okay? And October 7 had a tremendous amount of abhorrent acts of violence. Okay? Specifically against civilians.
Yeah.
When the dust is settled, if there is truly a progressive slant to history, you will look back at that as a dark moment in history, but ultimately the much larger harm will be accurately pointed to and the much larger issue will be in the hands, the larger responsibility will be in the hands of the settler colonial entity. Mm-hmm. Okay? The dust will never settle in this conflict.
Look at America.
You're wrong. You're wrong on that too. No, the dust will settle on this for sure. Because I don't believe that history magically has a slant towards progress. But I do look at history and recognize that the normal condition for humans is to collaborate with one another rather than being in a constant state of war, as evidenced by the European collaboration that we now take for granted, despite the fact that not that long ago, they were warring with one another, right? It's not optimism. I'm just simply looking at the way history has worked.
Yeah, the many parallels of the Yugoslavian conflict with the with Israel and Gaza is also something, and that was only in like the 80s. I think that ended in the 80s.
Okay. People who have killed one another for centuries now collaborate with one another, and it's not even a question. And we take that collaboration for granted. We assume that that is the normal condition. The other thing that I also know is that this level of violence is inherently unsustainable. Okay? This level of violence that Israel is dishing out to every single one of its neighbors and to territories that it currently illegally occupies is completely and utterly unsustainable. Okay? That's it. Fascism is inherently a suicidal ideology. It is constantly seeking out an out-group at the behest of protecting an in-group. History is riddled with examples of ultranationalist ideologies self-destructing, including, but not limited to, Nazi Germany. Its rise and its fall. Okay?
Hey, Rise.
Israel.
I just watched a very interesting video about Nero and just like narcissistic leaders and how more than not, they are the cause of the downfall of their nations just because they can't put the people in front of them. It's literally something that they cannot fathom.
Now, due to these last 12 months of endless, unlimited genocide, a complete pariah state, not only by the third world, the global south, the developing nations, which always saw it as a colonial apparatus, but also now the first world, Western nations and their populations, especially younger populations in the West, recognize the reality. They can see right from wrong. This creates a shit ton of pressure. Israel cannot maintain itself as a Western adjacent nation, as a tourism destination, as a destination for academics to go and visit, as long as it keeps up this level of unlimited violence. There is a material harm, that a cost that Israel is incurring right now, okay? A debt to all the bloodshed, both on the social front, the social capital that it's expending, but also on the economic front. Think about your own personal attitude. Think about your own personal journey.
Look at the way Americans freak out at the cost of eggs going up. Could you imagine if they were dealing with just a fraction of the things that the people in Palestine are?
October 7, 2023. And how much your opinion has shifted.
Yep. And unfortunately, these cynical leaders are experts in finding those dividing lines and sticking a wedge in there, sticking a wedge in there. Yeah.
On this matter. Okay. Maybe not every single person is going to be as clear-eyed on this issue and recognize, Israel as an apartheid state, but many people have the capacity to still see right from wrong. Mm-hmm. There's only so much Islamophobic sentiment that can justify the burned, charred bodies of children that you see on a daily fucking basis. Anyway, let's continue.
Over the years, more critical of just sort of of Zionism per se. But the point is, I think we're at a point where it is so horrific that to maintain the denial, one needs to sort of shift the entire conversation. I do not believe that Hasan is anti-Semitic. That has never come up.
Thing too.
Where does this?
I watch a lot of his streams, and if you're making those types of arguments, it has to be in bad faith or you're at least
Stop it.
Clip chimping, as he would say.
Oh my God!
No.
Oh, this guy is a terminally online person. You can tell.
I just never have witnessed anything even remotely like that.
Sorry, I'm not trying to shit on that, but for real, the way that he just said that, even where he's just they're clip chimping. It's come on.
I haven't followed this close enough, but I don't know if it's in bad faith as much as it is, at least in the instance of Ethan, that it is very, very difficult for
Robin, based as hell. I called both my senators to support Bernie earlier today. That's awesome. I wish I could contribute to you.
Some people
that's awesome
who are attached to an idea or certain realities or have family there or whatnot to reconcile what they're seeing.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people who literally don't believe that anybody has died in Gaza. They think it's all fake.
I have one of those in my life.
I mean,
it's insane.
It's infuriating because I've experienced way more hostility and anti-Semitism from fellow Jews than Hasan, Morgan, or anyone who's been attacked this week. Yeah, because we're not anti-Semitic. Humans are intrinsically social beings. Civilization begins when we take care of the vulnerable, and it crumbles when we are violent. Fascism is anti-evolutionary, and progress and freedom is in our human spirit. I agree with that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of denial, we're in that era, that phase of the epoch where it is so hard to deny, even if you can justify.
I've said it a billion times, Hasan. If at any point I felt that this chat's room status as one of the safest and best regulated places against anti-Semitism on the internet was in question, I would make it known or leave. I'm still fucking here. I see it. I view the anti-Semitism allegations, smears, not even allegations, the smears in the same vein as I view people saying that I'm transphobic. And sure, there are plenty of people who still maintain this belief that I am transphobic, right? Some trans people online probably think that I am transphobic. Right? This is one of the largest trans communities online. Mm-hmm.
Arguably.
It does not matter. It does not matter what people say. This does not change my...
Actually, both of these are, I would say MR and Hasan, they both have very active trans communities.
This does not change my analysis. This does not change my advocacy. I can't counter a false framing that you have hallucinated. That's it. It's a coordinated and targeted smear campaign that is being laundered via this drama. It's completely fucking selfish and bigoted. All of it is in bad faith and it's coming from a very specific corner of the internet. Yeah. I think the dominant American version of Jewish authenticity is deeply cornered into the Zionist paradigm, one where you have to hold your tie to exist in exile, but now in relation to an actually existing Israel. I don't know how to resolve the contradictions between this national existence and humanist Jewish values, or what new Jewish authenticity would look like. I don't know if you can do that while retaining any national framework and what that means for Israeli Jews. I don't. What's the second part of that? Time without an OWO. I know you're not anti-Semitic, but with the right clips, I can understand why some things make some people uncomfortable. I think that's a problem with streaming 8 hours a day for 50 years.
Well, yeah, he's also he's partially a comedian. Like, he's doing a lot of stuff just in jest.
Everyone will understand you to the same degree.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but the benefit of that,
when he speaks about this, he does it with sincerity, and he is an advocate. Like, I don't understand like the nitpicking on like if he makes like a little joke aside
of my streaming 8 hours a day for fucking 10 years, not 50, is that you can also find the actual context in which I'm saying certain things. No second part, I just don't know, is for American Jews to hold those discussions. Like, you will never be able to convince me that American Jews cannot arrive at this point if there are Jews in Israel who recognize it and are anti-Zionist, like Time Without an OWO. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. I know what it's like to grow up in a fucking...
If we held the same standards to Ethan, then there's no contest.
Ultra-nationalist culture, an ultra-nationalist country. You know what I mean? I know what it's like. It takes a lot of fucking... It takes a lot of resistance, resilience, intellectual curiosity to overcome things that people take for fucking granted.
Hasan Piker is not a bigot, but Hank Becker, that guy is a monster.
One of the best things about America, I guess, one of the kind of weaknesses about American nationalism is that they're so hyper-focused on their treats that it's like much easier to fucking examine this kind of thing, especially when paired up with the lack of interest in creating or cultivating this like national mythos in the United States of America, because like we care more about capitalism and upholding that than we do about like having some ultra nationalist movement. Anyway.
That was interesting. Actually, funny to that comment about Hank Becker. My grandpa's name was Hank. And like, so when we used to get telemarketing calls, they used to just be like, is Mr. Pecker there? I don't know like how they would get that wrong, but it happened way more than once. So, yeah, it was kind of funny. All right. So, real quick, I have some background about what he was talking about with the Palestinian conflict here, because there is a comedian that expertly shot down a heckler who was just kind of spitting out the IDF talking points, and it's kind of weird. Like his set was almost structured like a TED Talks on educating people about Palestine, and he just was throwing in, jokes. I'm used to it, like the way that pastors kind of speak to their congregation, where they put in jokes just to keep people engaged. The cool pastors. God, I had so many of those growing up. But this guy, like, that's kind of how he was approaching it. So just give me 1 second, and I'll bring it up here. All right, let's go.
If you agree with that? All right, guys, listen. Everybody stop. I don't use the word apartheid because nobody knows what it means. Very few people actually know what apartheid means, because if you actually...
Why is it comedians are always the ones that have like the most relevant social commentary?
Know what apartheid is, you would know that Israel's an apartheid state because it fits the definition of apartheid. People get upset because they don't know what the definition of apartheid is. If South Africa says you're an apartheid, you're an apartheid, bro. If you don't know what apartheid is a system of racial segregation. And the reason why people deny that Israel's an apartheid state...
You can't really get any more basic than that description right there.
Because they say that, Arabs have equal rights in Israel, which first of all is not really true. They face a lot of systematic discrimination. But even if you took that at face value, you have to look on the other side of the wall. On the other side of the wall, there's Palestinians who have no rights. And those Palestinians are under occupation by Israel. So by definition, Israel is supposed to be providing them rights. And if they're not, it's an apartheid state. The easiest way...
Palestinians are threatening the safety of Jewish people.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you. Okay. That's awesome. I'm
Well
so
handled.
glad you came and sat in the front. Have you... This is like a gift.
It is for him.
This is like a gift. This is amazing. Did you come here to the show to have this moment? Amazing. Amazing. It was random.
Israel left Gaza.
Israel left... Okay, good, great. So let's go back to the joke I just did, right? Israel left Gaza in what year?
I don't know.
You don't know. Exactly. It was 2005.
Palestinians or the Gazans there voted for Hamas.
I'm getting upset because you're in the front row. You know what I mean? It's just like...
See, you're in the front row.
Look at me. I don't in the game. I'm not a Palestinian. I'm not a Jew.
That's fine. That's fine. You just have to be a human being, right? You just have to be a human being.
Rise, the good ones normally have a good understanding of truth and irony. Oh, yeah. That's actually a good read on comedy.
Right?
Comics.
Right? Yes. Arabs have walked away. So you identify as a Zionist, right?
No, I try to be neutral.
You're not trying too hard.
It's always those types. All right. Now
I disagree that Israel's an apartheid.
She's probably a liberal.
I don't know what apartheid is.
You know what apartheid is? Okay, great. You just said you don't know what apartheid is, yet you interrupted me because you said that Israel is not an apartheid. So, you didn't say that.
The balls. The balls
okay.
of this woman.
Okay, got you.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Ignorant, obviously ignorant, but nonetheless.
IDF propaganda. I mean, she's just repeating the IDF stuff.
October 7th. Guys.
Yeah.
Relax. Trust me, this makes for a better show.
Yeah. Oh, he's
to all those things you said in my business. But here's the point. I was up here saying that Israel is an apartheid state, and you interrupted saying something that is irrelevant to the fact that Israel is an apartheid state. Okay? If you want to build a wall for whatever reason, if you think it's for your safety concerns, that's fine. You build a wall, and you want to occupy the neighboring region, do that. It's illegal by international laws, but if you do that, just know they're under your jurisdiction, and by law, because they're under your jurisdiction, it's an apartheid state because they don't have rights. So now you know that. Take that part home. We'll cover the rest in a minute. Okay? For people who don't know what apartheid is, let me explain it to you. If I were to go visit my family in the West Bank, and we wanted to go to where my grandma was born and raised, inside Israel, she came from a city called Jaffa, we would have to cross through military checkpoints. Me, an American city, I'm the whole city. An American citizen would have to go through military checkpoints where literally machine guns above our head, like with surveillance, doing like humiliating things like strip searching us as we go, just to go inside and visit the family, which, obviously you would say is for reasons of safety, whatever. I have to go through that even as an American city. Even as an American
He did it again.
I am the city of
That was
San Diego.
subconscious at that point. It had to be.
Okay. But that's the point. Like, even if I took this whole city with me, we would have to go through the military checkpoints.
All right, just as a side, I just noticed this, like that. I've worked in some interesting comedy clubs. That is the most interesting backdrop I've ever seen in a comedy club.
And we're coming
it almost
from
looks
the
like
West Bank, which is
wonder
under
if that is a
Israeli
coffee shop
occupation.
comedy club.
So it's under Israeli
I've seen those before.
but yet we don't have the same rights that Israeli citizens inside of Israel have. I
Yeah.
would just want to go and visit the land that my grandma grew up on. And now I didn't grow up on it, but she grew
This
up
is a
on it.
great
She's
way
told
of
me stories about
explaining
it.
this.
So I feel connected to it. It's a part tied to me.
That's a good way of selling it.
She got it. You got it. Okay. See, this is fun.
We have fun here.
Okay. I perform for people who agree with what I'm saying, and I perform for a lot of people who don't. I tour everywhere. I get a lot of heat for the things that I say, but most of it's online, so I feel safe. One guy DM'd me, he's like, Sammy, does your tour fund Hamas? And I was like, first of all, how did you know? Secondly, no, I'm not involved with the transferring of money to Hamas. That's more of Netanyahu's thing.
Good comeback. Good one. Oh, I just saw his comment. The good ones usually use satire. Their humor doesn't kick down. Yeah, I for the most part agree with that, but there are times that I guess punching down. It depends on how you define punching down.
Ask me questions about Hamas like I know them personally. Like I hit them up after the show. I'm like, yeah, boys, it went well. Yeah. They received the message. I'll call you later. I don't know Hamas. None of y'all ever seen a Hamas? They out there.
They received the message.
Kind of their brand, you know? People ask me my opinion on, they want to know a Palestinian's opinion on Hamas. It's like, why do you care about opinions? Why don't you just ask what they are objectively? And I'll tell you that. Hamas is a resistance group from Palestine. One of many, many resistance groups from Palestine because Palestine has been under occupation for decades. And that leads to the formation of resistance groups. It's not unique to Palestine. It happens everywhere. But there's a reason why you know about Hamas. Because Hamas was chosen. It was Netanyahu's favorite. Netanyahu allowed cash infusions to flow into Hamas from Qatar in order to make the two-state solution impossible. This is not a conspiracy theory. It is soundbited on the internet. The Israeli regime under Netanyahu has this love.
Just another real quick observation. They actually have a on-stage bouncer. That's very rare in comedy clubs.
Hate relationship with Hamas because it's their proposed enemy, but they built it up. And they even came up with a pet name for it. They call it Hamas for some reason. We don't know. Arabs, this perplexes us because we have the Kha sound too, but it's not in that word, so we don't know where it came from. They let this money flow into Hamas. They call it Hamas. So we're like, where did the K come from? They paid for it, apparently. The problem is the mainstream media was able to push this narrative onto people.
Hold on. George Carlin explained that good comedy punches up. Comedy has been ruined largely by capitalism. Joe Rogan is king now. I mean, unfortunately, yes, as far as podcasting goes, but it's kind of weird. Comedy, I can't say who is like the king of comedy, but Bert Kreischer, he outsells Rogan.
Like you and I, that the people of Gaza, for some reason, are complicit in what's going on. That for some reason they deserve what's happening to them because they, quote, like you said, they voted for Hamas. Let's unpack that statement. They voted for Hamas. All of them, even the babies, crawled out to the polls, scribbled in Hamas, got their little green lollipop and went home. Half of Gaza's population is under 18, okay? So, because of a high birth rate, yes, this is partially true, because of a high birth rate, also because refugees have been pushed out from other parts.
Duke of Bread, yes, I watched Kill Tony.
Of the region into Gaza. That's why
I wasn't surprised by his humor at the Trump thing.
Some people often say it's only one or the other. It's actually both. Palestinians.
I'm very familiar with all those comedians.
Survival. If you don't believe me, look up Gaza birth rate. You decide. They voted for Hamas. Half of the population is under 18, which is already a minority of people. You already know that less than 50% of them voted. So it's like extremely inhumane to say they voted for Hamas. This is what they want when half of the population isn't even of voting age now. Okay,
man, he is building a great case here.
It was one election, and it was in 2006. Do you remember who you voted for in 2006? No, because it was a midterm year. Nobody gives a right? Nobody remembers who was on the ballot in 2006. And so let's unpack this trope even more, because if you look at the statistic, half of the population isn't even of voting age now, meaning like 75% of the population wasn't even voting age then. And then within that 25% of the population, 40% of the people who showed up to vote that day voted for Hamas. That's of the people who showed up. Let's say 80% of the voting population showed up. So that's 20% of the total population now, and 40%. What's 40% of 20%?
I don't know.
Come on, you may not be on the side. You gotta be on the side.
I'm not good at
right.
On this,
it's 8%.
We're not good at math.
Most, 8%
so you guys need to make up for me my shortcomings here.
So do you understand how up it is to say they voted for Hamas when literally it was just 8% who voted for Hamas? Yeah. Right? Let's think about that. It's racist, right? Why is it?
It's bad math.
It's bad math, correctly. But I mean, yeah, like
it's racist bad math, but you need to okay, right? For that one, when he just said that it's racist, because she just literally heard, he thinks I'm a racist. No, that's for him to say it's racist language. Sorry, you don't want to make her feel like she's actually being pretty fair and receptive to this.
Like, think about racist tropes.
I mean, as far as hecklers go, she's definitely not the worst heckler I've ever seen
in the United States. What's a racist trope? You want to give me one? You're good at them, so you want to give me one? And it's a comedy show. We're all very accepting. We know that you don't actually feel that way, but just give us one that we've heard before. Or who wants to give you one? Who wants to give me one?
Women of color are all on welfare.
To go out there and say that women of color are all on welfare, when if it was only 8% of them, still, a lot. I'm sure it's not that much, but that would be fucked up to say that. So, what's that? Who? Where are you from, by the way?
APAC.
San Diego.
APAC. Nice drop in from the crowd. APAC.
That's a lot to unpack. Okay. You're from San Diego. That's fine. I identify as a mainstream American too. Honestly, I'm not a full left or right. I like to see. What's that?
I bet you are left.
You bet I'm left? Why would you think that I'm left?
What is it?
I have 17 guns at home. Okay? That's not a threat. That's not a threat. That's not a threat. I didn't vote for Hamas, but I have 17 guns at home. That's funny. She's like, you look like a lib because you care. No, you don't know my views. I'm actually a very balanced perspective, but I do know facts and I do like math. So that dictates the things that I do say. And when I don't know shit about shit, I shut the fuck up. Kind of a good rule to follow in general.
Yeah.
But
shut the fuck up and then ask questions.
They voted for Hamas. It's messed up. You at least agree with that part now, based on the math, or you still think?
All elections are based on who turns out, right? Every election.
Yes, perfect. This is exactly where I'm going to go next. Okay, so listen. Can you imagine being held accountable for somebody you voted for years ago? Let's think about this, okay? The first time, yeah, exactly. This poor man. This poor.
He's literally having an existential crisis. He's like, but.
This guy voted for Ted Cruz one time.
Voted for George Bush once.
He's done some damage to the fabric of our democracy, but he's still a good guy, and he's working on it. Can you imagine being held accountable? I'll tell you, the first time I was allowed to vote in the general election was 2004. I'm an old man. 2004 was the first time they let me at the polls. Boy, was I ready.
He's like a year older than me.
Who we got? Oh, man, 2004.
John Kerry.
We have the honor of being able to vote for two stellar options.
Yeah. George Bush.
Mr. John F. Kerry.
Yep.
Yeah, you heard me correct. Kerry, not Kennedy, okay? Mm-hmm. John F. Kerry. My best impression of him is moi. Gen Z, if I showed you a picture of John F. Kerry, you'd be like, who is that car salesman? I have no idea who that guy is. Does he replace AC units? What does he do? John F. Kerry was the Democratic candidate of 2004, and it was him up against the one, the only, the irreplaceable George W. Bush. Okay? Yeah. It was literally the worst election aside from all the ones that came after it. It was really, really bad.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I got out of high school and thought I'm just like, it can't get any worse than this.
Elections are. You never get good
was I
options.
wrong.
You get the options who make you want to vomit the least. You know what I mean? You pick who makes you vomit the least. And if you get juiced for a candidate, there's something wrong with you. I'm sorry. Politicians are wired to, in some shape or form, manipulate.
Except for Bernie. Bernie's okay.
You and lie you, even the good ones. So if you get excited about a politician, I'm happy for you, but go to a therapist. Now that was who was on the ballot in 2004, okay? But America, like you're right, it's about who the population.
John Kerry was the second worst Democratic choice that year.
Don't look it up.
The 13 worst choice is Lieberman. Yeah, you are right about that.
We saw those options, all the options in 2004, and collectively we came together and we did the right thing. We said enough is enough. 4 more years of the W. We saw the economy tanking, heading towards a recession rapidly. We saw war in the Middle East. We saw, 9/11. We're like, fuck it, let's see what happens. Just 4 more years.
Gas prices in 2005 spiked to almost $5 a gallon.
For him a second time. Well, technically a first. But we wanted 8 years of back-to-back Bush. Now, I don't know if you know about...
Wait, wasn't Howard Dean the guy that went... Yeah. Ruined his political career.
He did not do great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it, right?
Bad. If you don't know about the bad things that W did, make some friends from Iraq. Okay.
Yeah.
make it very clear to you. Be ready for some cursing, okay? Because he messed up Iraq. For real, man. Like, people from Iraq, they hate the W, they hate his dad, they hate the whole Bush dynasty, okay? They've even banned bushes in their yards, okay? It's only trees and grass in Iraq, no bushes, okay? They're all clean shaven down there. They hate the Bush. Can you imagine? I know this is tough for mainstream Americans, but can you imagine that Iraq somehow got the capability to invade America? Perhaps with the help of a local proxy. I won't name any names. I'm not going to tell you who it is. I ran from that option. Let's say they got together the military capability, but they could only afford to invade one state. So they choose Wisconsin. Okay? Yeah. So they touch down in Wisconsin, start bombing indiscriminately, cheese everywhere. Okay? They're blocking aid via Lake Michigan. No deep dish getting in.
Hey, watch it.
Right? And they're just targeting poor, innocent Wisconsinians. Like, oh my gosh, golly, like everywhere you go.
Oh, jeez. Look at that, guys.
And I happen to be in Kenosha, Wisconsin that night with my shit luck. I'm performing at the Chuckle House Kenosha, the nation's worst comedy club.
That is
at the worst time. And Iraq
not a great one.
And I'm no hero. I'm gonna run. I'm not gonna defend you, okay? I'm gonna go home to my 17 guns. I'm gonna run from the Iraqis. I'm gonna run down an alleyway, and they're gonna chase me. And I'm gonna run, and I'm gonna run, until I hit a dead end. And I'm just gonna have to turn and face them. And when I have to turn and face them, all I'm gonna be able to say is, why? Why? Why are you doing this to me? Why are you wreaking this carnage on me and all of my people? We did not do anything to you. Why are you doing this to us? And then they're just like, because you voted for George W. Bush in 2004. Like, what the Bush? Like, you're still thinking about that? And I'm like, no, I didn't vote for George W. Bush. I voted for independent candidate Ralph Nader. And they're like, yes, but everybody knows a vote for Nader is a vote for Bush. Like, come on, man.
People said that. All right,
and
that's funny.
Further proof that no matter where it is, the two-party system sucks ass.
Yep.
You are literally spitting out straight up AIPAC talking points. You don't think so?
I think she's making a lot of really good ones.
Whoa! Apparently they come in a pack.
Not all people do talking points.
I agree.
Yes. A lot of good ones that are also talking points. I appreciate she has the courage to speak up.
Yeah.
It's very complicated and it shouldn't be minimized and patronized to people that are really struggling with the important issues that you're taking to exactly.
I think we all agree on that. I think we all 100% agree.
That, he actually kind of spoke to what he's
that's true as well.
saying.
But this is what I don't understand. See, sir, this is why I'm talking, because
It's all over the planet. I mean, you do realize that it's only like a day walk, right?
You agree with that? The Arabs and Muslims are atrocious. Do you agree with that part? All right.
Oh my God. Okay, I hate people like that. Get out, get her out of here.
Listen.
Please.
No. Everybody stop.
That's not okay.
Quiet. This is my show.
Yeah, and it's making for great content.
Listen, first of all, I respect you guys for coming to the show and sitting in the front row. Obviously, you don't agree with the things that I'm saying. That's fine. I don't. Yeah.
I'm actually pro-Palestine.
Okay. Hey, well, nice to meet you. Okay, so you brought her to kind of to get a little like a different.
No idea, but she's still my friend.
That's awesome. Okay, hey, look, you find out a lot about your friends when you come to the comedy show, right? We learn things that we never knew, you know. Okay. You have to understand, okay? We don't have to agree on everything. The reason why I made an issue about it is because when you heckle or when you say something in the middle of the joke, it becomes different jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying? Like if we were just having a conversation on the street and it's like, I don't know you, you don't know me. It's like, obviously we're not gonna agree on the same things, you know what I mean? But I'm in the middle of like constructing and building a narrative and it's interrupted with a counterpoint, which is fair, which is fine, but not at the comedy show, right? We can do it in a DM exchange. We can do it for that reason.
Yeah, but this made for, I mean,
show,
dude,
it
this
is
has
under my jurisdiction. You could say that
has
you
over
are all
2
under my
million hits.
jurisdiction. And as an occupier,
there it is. Yeah.
it is my duty, specified under international law, to take care of you. Okay? And so that's why, with love, I say all of these things, because I think you're great. I think that you do strive for balance, and I think that you do want to see the nuance and look in the perspective. But I think that you also were saying a lot of things that people here who know a lot about the situation and are clearly biased towards Palestine have heard these sound bites used perpetually to defend the stripping of human rights of an entire population of people.
I mean, he wasn't wrong about them being talking points. Like,
please, I speak what I think is justice. Everybody has their own opinion of justice. I speak on what I think is justice. By the way, don't call me a social justice warrior. Please, don't call me a social justice warrior. I prefer social justice jihadi. It's fitting because I tend to take myself out in the process. I have sacrificed my show. What? It's hard being a social justice jihadi. You only get one shot.
all right. That was a pretty solid joke at the end there. See, now that's how you teach people about conflict in Palestine. I mean, honestly, he should consider himself lucky that she was engaged as she was, and also engaging with him. Because, man, like, he got a really rare opportunity there, and he took it. I got to give him the credit there. All right, so let's read some of the comments. If you guys enjoyed this content, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out, especially the likes. Those help me get pushed in the algorithm, so I really appreciate it if you do that. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of the video, good or bad. I appreciate the feedback. I have memberships available, so if you guys want that members-only content, I have members-only streams on Saturday, and I also have members-only streams before and after the normal streams. So come and join the fun, and I appreciate your support, and I'll see you in the next one.